career or be fired because quite frankly, they lost the vision of what it is for them to really show up and do a good job. So don't suck at managing teams. All the tips that I've been teaching you are going to help you to become better. All of these tips have actionable things that you can put into place right away. I don't want this to be another thing that you listen to and you don't go back and put something into action, because unfortunately, that's what 99% of people do. They hear this training, they may say, oh, that sounds great, but you never put into action. And you just end up continuing to do the same old, and then wonder why things aren't getting better. If your way is not working, then you need to listen up, because these tips are going to help you, but you have to take the small, little, minuscule step to put it into work, right? All right, so if you're new to these live streams, my name is Yashika. I am the founder and CEO of the Lynn Group. My primary personal mission, my project, my pet project, to help you become a better leader and do it in a way where you don't have to have all the stress and overwhelm, because it is possible. 55% of you are struggling, but there's less than 50% that aren't. So what are they doing differently that maybe you aren't implementing? This is why we're here right now. Also, within my company, the Lynn Group, we not only do leadership development training, facilitate all sorts of things to do with personal development and high performance, but we also are able to help organizations by looking at their operations and systems and dramatically improving their effectiveness of those certain operations. So let's get into the discussion. Like I said, the beginning of this discussion, I said that the top mistakes, the top mistakes that leaders make that cause them to get fired is not understanding that you could do all the tasks right, but if you don't fulfill your primary role as a leader, then you probably are going to find yourself in some hot water at some time in your career. You need to understand that that is one of your primary roles, not the tasks that fall within the role of whatever it is your position is, whether it be director, whether it be CEO, whether it be, I don't know what your role is, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right. So losing sight is what gets you fired. And I want you to understand what leadership truly is. We can talk about the difference between leading and managing in another, that would be a whole nother little discussion. However, leadership is described as the behavior of an individual when they are directing activities of a group toward a shared goal. So you are meant to take all these different people and get them to move together toward a common goal, a common mission, a common vision. And that means that you need to influence group activities to move in the same direction. I know when I got into leadership initially, especially when I moved away from independent consulting roles like in policy and operational strategy and things like that, and into actually having direct reports, I was so freaked out because I just am somebody that likes to stay in my lane, do my job, and worry about myself. I know my personality, but I know that I can't be that way as a leader, right? Because I got to inspire and influence people to do a good job for whatever it is they're supposed to be doing. So I went out and I got all the books. I got like the first 90 days and 7 habits of highly effective people and all of the things. And then I was looking at my time management and my organizational skills and just trying to shore up all of these skills that I would call hard skills. And while all these resources are all good, the tools that are going to help you be organized and manage your time better, you need those. But I'm telling you, 99% of you being successful in your role is learning how to develop the mind of a leader and learning the soft skills that are not often taught to you in a book or a classroom to be a good leader. So if you don't understand this and you keep thinking that the problem that you need to solve is outside of yourself, then you're going to keep swimming upstream. You need to start by looking within. That is how all leaders should start. Look within. So what do you do about it? Let's go over some quick tips that I have for you, that I think you can pick all of them or just pick one to start to try out in your leadership style. So, number one, I don't know if you know this. We will invest and spend money on fast food and TV and vacations and all of the things, but what we tend not to spend our resources and our time on are some of the things that are probably going to be the most important to your success, and that has to do with investing in professional and personal development, but not through your workplace. What I find is that practicing your leadership roles and skills within your organization, particularly if all the leaders kind of think alike and they have access to the same resources, you don't often get different perspectives. Or if your organization is lacking in resource or expertise, you're not going to get what you need to be successful. So there are a number of ways for you to find leadership related opportunities outside of your job and practice your leadership skills outside of work, because what I find, especially going into organizations that want more of a hands-on support from the Lynn Group, is that even though we haven't really had the tactile skills in the certain areas, leadership has a set of its own innate skills that transcend any industry, and you can work on those without doing them in the context of your organization. So what that means is, for instance, for me, the two things that help me to become a better leader are spiritual development and high performance mentorship, meaning that just like people invest in me to help them become high performers, I have also along the way invested in other coaches and mentors to become high performers. And what I found was, with the spiritual focus, knowing that I'm not living just for the day to day, right? I'm living for something much bigger. There's a bigger, broader purpose to why I'm here on this earth. Makes it much easier to get through the day with a positive attitude when I'm having a crappy day, because I know that that's just a crappy day. It's not the end of the world, which gives me a better perspective and outlook on my life, thereby showing up with a better attitude and disposition and energy when I show up as a leader, right? And then the other thing that I mentioned was the high performance mentorship. I just in general value being a high quality human being. So if you looked at my life and you saw how much I invested in being a high quality human being and how much I am committed to practicing that in my life, then you would understand how that translates into being a better leader. Do I know how to do a certain report? No. But do I know how to lead people? Do I care about people? Do I care about knowing who they are, what their strengths and skills are, what makes them happy, what makes them motivated, how they can contribute to the team, being open in my communication so we all understand where everybody is going? Yes. And why do I do that? How do I know that? Not because I've done every single leadership role in healthcare and beyond. No, it's because those are some of the qualities you need to be high performing as just a quality individual. And those things translate by me focusing my energy in those certain directions. Wherever you let energy go, wherever you focus, wherever you push your attention, that's what's going to grow. And so think about that. The more quality I become, the more quality I strive for in my own personal life, the more quality I'm able to offer. And therefore, the more quality the teams that I led, the more quality they have been able to become as well. All right. So I want you to really take an honest assessment after hearing that of where you are in your career, where you think you should be, what your struggles are, what your challenges are. If you're leading a team, how are they doing? Are they where you think that they should be? So think about all of that, where you think you should be versus what is truly and really going on in your own personal life, your quality as a human being, how much you invest in that in order to have a better life, not only for yourself personally, but remember that translates into professional quality as well. And think about how much you invest on becoming a better person from day to day. Not what you say you want to do, not you have intentions of doing it, but the day gets too busy. We all have some free time. I guarantee we all have some free time. I've been there, I've been in the trenches. I know even when I felt my busiest, I've still had free time. So, what are you doing with your free time? You have to understand that I am no different than you. What is different than from me to you, if you feel like you're floundering or you feel like you're the other 45% of the leaders that are striving and rocking it are better or different than you, is they're not. They just choose to invest in being quality individuals. And through that practice, it flows into everything else that they do. We have, I know there's a statistic like, when I used to do my group for personal mastery, I think it was like 80,000 thoughts that we have, all the same, primarily negative. So, what are you thinking about? What are you doing? How are your days different? Take the honest assessment. There are so many leaders that do not know who they want to be. So, in our ebook, and you can get it by getting on our text list. I'll give you information to how to get on the text list at the end of this. But there are so many people in this world that have no clarity over who it is that they want to be in life. However, they just keep going through the motions, or maybe you get promoted, which could be a mistake for you because you don't know who you want to be, but you end up somewhere you're not supposed to be. All of these things. And then they wonder why they feel burned out, stressed out, incongruent with their job, etc. It's because you don't know who you want to be. There are great leaders and they know what character traits they want to define them. I know what kind of person that I want to be in my life. I want to be, I want to have integrity. I want to be honest. I'm optimistic. I know I'm not the most kindest person, but I am a compassionate person. I'm determined. I'm visionary. I'm uh, fair, that type of thing. So, who are you and who do you want to be? And because great leaders take the time to think about that, we reflect on the traits that we already have, and we're able to see the gaps around what it is that we need to cultivate in order to continue to grow. So, who is it that you want to be? And if you don't fully know who you want to be, you do know, number one, who you don't want to be. And you probably, by this time in your career, at least know someone that you look up to that is doing it well. So, who can you tap into, whether you have mentors in your organization or you need to invest in a mentor that's going to help you along the way, that can help you to learn and to grow and to give you input on what it means to be a good leader, so that you can start to get closer to where it is you want to be. Know who you want to be. The second thing, very, very important, you need to know what you value in your work environment. Again, through our human conditioning, we've been taught that we just go along with life, and whatever life gives us, we roll with it and we make the best of it. And that we don't exert control over our world. Our world just gives us what it's going to give us, and then we just roll with it, right? And because of that, you lose sight also of what you value in a work environment. And so, again, in that book, I talk about this more, but you end up going through the motions and may find yourself in an environment, a work environment that you don't want to be a part of. And again, wonder why it doesn't feel right. But leaders that are successful in leading and, managing their team well, they know what they value in a work environment. So, um, what qualities do you want to inject in your work environments? Do you want it to be cooperative? Do you want it to be creative? Do you want it to be supportive? Do you want it to be inclusive? And if those are the things that you value, is where you're working congruent with that. We go through life on autopilot so much that we don't think about these things until it's too late. And then we wonder why we're unhappy in our job, we're unhappy in our career, we're unhappy in our personal life. It's because you haven't taken the time taking the time to understand what it is that you value, or else you know what you value, but you choose to ignore that and sell yourself for whatever it is that you need to sell yourself for. And it doesn't mean that, if you have, I don't believe in scarcity, but let's just say you're not where I am yet mentally. So you believe that you have limited options available and this is the best that you can do for where you are right now. You still need to know what you value. And if you are in an environment that's not having the traits that you want, how can you recognize what it is that you want, what it is that you value in a work environment, and contribute that to the work environment through you working on your quality, and thereby changing the energy of where it is that you are anytime you step in any room, because you know who you want to be and you know what you value in your work environment. That's a super deep subject. That's more for personal coaching, mentorship, that type of thing. But it's something for you to think about. Also, another trait that's going to help you become a successful and also manage more effectively is to be intentional and budget your time. There are two things that I'm going to talk about here. One thing may be a little bit controversial. I cannot stand this open door policy type thing, because you have been hired to do certain tasks. Your team members that you lead have been hired to do certain tasks. If everybody's urgency is your issue, and half of the time you know it's not, then you're not going to get anything done. However, what I do to compensate for that is, when I am able to have an open door policy that is communicated that, hey, this is open hours. Come on, talk to me if you need me, or if it's an emergency, I'm always there. However, I need focused time to be able to do my job too. I need to be intentional about the way that I spend my time. So you need to learn how to budget your time effectively. As a leader that is more on the positive side, you need to create a supportive and an affirmative environment, but you also need to be explicit in the priorities of each individual on the team, including yourself, as well as your collective priorities together. And you can make time to build trust and develop healthy working relationships and communicate openly and effectively, but you also can do it in a way that you are being intentional and budgeting your time. So build in the time, but to me, I think you should build it in a way that is much more intentional. I've seen so many leaders where employees, team members will just come in an office and just talk about personal problems and all of the things. And while, like I said, it is, you don't want to not foster certain type of communication within the workplace, but you need to just be, I'm gonna just leave it at be intentional. You think about what that means to you, because for every leader is going to be different. If you want me to do a deeper dive into that topic, leave me a comment and I'll tell you how I do it. But basically, I told you, y'all not about to be interrupting me 20 times a day. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to have time to talk, but we're going to have time to do the work too. All right. So know and develop your people. We've been talking about this in a couple of other episodes throughout this live stream. So just know that a powerful way that a leader can start to build relationships and develop and manage a better team is to create more effective relationships and performance through knowing your people, knowing who's good at what, knowing how they work well together, you communicating expectations and providing guidance and resources they need to succeed, and also celebrating. Make sure that there's space for everybody. It doesn't have to mean that, like, you take 50 million hours to make everything a collaborative decision, because it's not always like that either. Sometimes you don't get things done when you're creating that kind of space for everyone, but there should be an opportunity for everybody to get to put in their input and acknowledging and putting their contributions into the team on a larger scale, creating systems for people to introduce new ideas to the team. And I've talked about some of those in previous live streams. And then maybe having some team norms for how you handle difficult situations, so that if things do arise, everybody's on the same page about what you do in your team to productively handle conflicts, setbacks, difficult conversations, etc. And let's do one more. This is a good one because some of you that are leaders are in more influential leadership positions, meaning you might be in the C suite, maybe you are VP, maybe you're a director. So you can more directly influence the culture of leadership within your organization. For you all, I would promote a top down positive culture, not just top down, you tell people what to do, but becoming a great leader requires support, and it requires institutions to invest in professional development, leadership development. This is probably one of the things that you know that we don't get in school. And it's also one of the things that organizations don't invest in. So think about it. If you want your organization and your leaders to perform optimally and be successful, then why wouldn't you invest in leadership development, facilitation of these type of classes within your organization, etc.? And what's interesting is that if you talk to leaders, about 75% of them think that being in a leadership position, they need more help, they need more training, and they think it's important. However, when you actually look at what organizations currently invest in when it comes to developing their leaders, there's only about 35% of you that are actually investing in the leaders in your organization, and even yourself. You still need leadership development and growth. And when you don't give your leaders access to formal leadership development training, such as the ones that I'm providing here on a small scale, can you really say that you're invested in the leaders of your organization, the success of your organization, when you know that the positive or negative impact that your organization experiences is due in a large part to the leaders that you have in your organization? Another thing that I don't see come from leaders very much is a more genuine positive rewards for positive behavior. And again, you have to think about your own organization and what the people in your organization find meaningful. But um, oftentimes, frontline staff get rewards, and we can argue about that if they are effective or not. But I'm talking about leaders here. How are you rewarding your leaders for positive behavior? Also, what I also also what I also find lacking in a top-down positive culture is, or in organizations that lack this positive culture that I'm talking about, is that they don't have no tolerance policies for bullying and abuse. Um, well, maybe they have the policies, they don't enforce them. I'll give you a couple of instances. There have been times where I've come into organizations that have had serious allegations of what I would consider to be abusive or bullying behavior. However, because people in the organization don't like to talk directly to other people, they are conflict averse, blah 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 blah. They don't take these things serious until it really detrimentally impacts the operations of the team. I've also noticed in my own leadership, I'll give you guys a quick example. This is a little long one, but hopefully again some good information. So one day I had come to work and there was this worker, very stellar, like a high performing member of our team, but she was off. And because of her high performance and the dramatic decrease in her performance this day, we knew that something was very wrong. Talking gibberish to patients, being disrespectful, and when confronted with the issue, became a very, very inappropriate, and very unsafe and very abusive. Now, this behavior was witnessed by not only members of the team, but also members of the leadership team above myself, because just so happened that my boss was there to witness this and was actually on the receiving end of most of the inappropriate abusive language. So, and we would border, I would say, I don't want to make assumptions, but it could be akin to either a psychotic snap or drug use. That's how incongruent her behavior was this day. Um, so because of certain structures put into place in certain organizations, sometimes these cultures don't support the operations of the team. And while it was clear that there was evidence of abuse and inappropriate um, advising, of patients within this organization, clear proof there wasn't the support that was needed to deal with this abusive behavior the way that it should have been. So, how do you think that this culture in this organization, um, how do you think this impacted the culture when everyone witnessed such a it was like a almost a traumatic experience, and then the result of the experience, the outcome being this person did have to leave the organization, but they got severance, all of the things got rewarded, and anyway, we've all had something like that happen in our organization. My point here being that you need to, as a leader in an influential position, be able to support the policies that you put into place for bullying and abuse, and take it serious if people feel unsafe, and kind of take a stance on the things that are going to be no tolerance in your organization, or else it negatively impacts the culture of your organization. So I've just spouted off a whole bunch of stuff. This one was kind of long. You might have to listen to this one again later. If you would like, I would like to hear your thoughts and your comments on this topic. Again, if you have to listen to it over again and take notes, please do. Also, make sure you spread the word. We're here daily at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, giving you daily tips that are going to help you to not only help your personal psychology in leadership, but also help you to become a better leader on your team. And don't forget that if you want to get our ebook, you can get a free copy. It's going to give you some more tips and tricks on the top five mistakes that leaders make in healthcare and what you can do about it. And if you want to get this free ebook, get on our text list so you know when we go live, all of the things, get special messages from us. Then text the word leadership to the phone number 833-231-4407 in order to get that free ebook. And I want you to come back tomorrow, because here's another thing that leaders struggle with that I'm going to help you with tomorrow. And it's all about how you can learn how to make better decisions as a leader. So that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Get your free ebook in the meantime, and I'll talk to you later. All right. Take care.